Good afternoon. We're going to go over the watch list for the week of 10/26. It's a big earnings week. I posted a picture on in my Discord room of the earnings I'm looking at. So if you're not in the room, you need to be. If you're not a subscriber, you should be. But the link is in the bio of Twitter and StockTwits, and you can also find it in the description of the video. Like I said, it's going to be a big earnings week for the FANGs. Then we have stimulus, so we'll just have to see what's going to happen. It's going to be news-driven, earnings-driven, and it's going to be a lot of chaos this week probably, so have to trade accordingly. Now, the watch list is pretty small because of the earnings. Most of the tickers we trade have earnings, and I won't trade them until after earnings, so we'll be doing a lot of earning reactions, not playing the earnings, because playing the earnings is it's a 50-50. It's not worth the risk. I'd rather play the reaction the next day. It's a lot more predictable and easier to manage your risk in the process. So Netflix is up on the bullish side. You know, every time Netflix gets into this 480 range, it just likes to bounce. So I will be watching Netflix get over this 490 area, then push to 508, and probably go for a gap fill in the 520s, 525. So I'll be watching Netflix. Tesla is another one. Tesla's just riding this trend line right here. And you can see there's another trend line right here. I think that it breaks out and it bounces, so I would watch it over the 420, fill this gap of 425, and then it gets to 425. You got a little bit of resistance right here at 435, and the 440s, and then you get when you get into the 445 to 450 area, there's a lot more resistance, but you also have a gap fill up here in the 460s. So have to see if Tesla will fill this gap here in the 425s and the 460s. So I'll be watching Tesla on the long side. I probably won't touch it if it does make a run for tomorrow, because Mondays and Tuesdays it's really expensive and you really have to go far out of the money, and I don't like doing that. So for the people that don't mind that, you can go ahead, and that's what I'd be looking for. Lululemon is something I'd be watching for. It on the daily, it's oversold on the stochastics, and it had a nice day on Friday. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it does pull back a little bit before going higher. And if that's the case, I would be watching for dips right around the 330 area. And if it doesn't, over 335, you can get a push to probably the 340s. Over 340, you got, the 342, 345, then you get the 350 area. And Christmas coming should be strong for Lululemon, so I would expect hype for the Christmas season on that. Apple is another one, even though Apple has been going down, but it's still kind of like a bull flag right there. It has support right here at the 114, 115 area. Stochastics is oversold on the daily, so I would definitely watch this over 116 for a push to probably the 120s. It's going to have a lot of resistance here in the 120s. It did fill the gap and come down here to the support right here, so I would on the hourly, I would definitely watch over 116 for a push to the 120s plus. So Facebook has obviously Apple has earnings too. Apple has earnings Thursday after close, and Facebook does too. So Apple might not be as expensive as far as trading during earnings than others like Amazon and Shopify and stuff like that, and Google. But Facebook is another one I'd be watching. Now, the reason I'd be watching this, Snap had a huge ER, and they make their money off ads on their apps, and so anything internet-based or app-based has ads is going to do probably pretty good. So I would expect Google, Facebook, and Pins to probably do really well on their earnings. But we'll just have to see what happens. We'll play the reaction the next day, but definitely can see if Facebook can get over the 485, the high on Friday, I think it can make a run to 300 on probably on the hype on this week. So that's why Facebook jumped, was because of Snap, and Facebook's got Facebook and Instagram, and they're really popular. So I would imagine their earnings is probably going to be pretty good. So I think it's 305 is all-time high. Wait, let me check. Yeah, 305 is all-time high. I would be surprised if Facebook does go to all-time highs before ER. So now on the bearish side, FDX. FDX has just been going bonkers. It had a little bit of a pullback right here. I mean, look how disconnected it is from the moving average right here. That's the 20 EMA. Even the top of the killer channel is way outside of it. So I showed a little weakness on last week, but it had a strong close on Friday. But I would watch it underneath the 280 for push to 275. But it does lose the 275. I mean, it's got a long ways down. I mean, you can go 270, 265, even down to the 260 area if you want to just call this little area right here 260. So when prices get so disconnected from the moving averages, like right here it pulls back, and right here it pulls back, and when it dropped so much, it came back up to it. So when you see these big disconnects, they end up, I mean, even if they chop for a little while weekly, they do end up coming back. So I'm not saying that FedEx can't go to 215, because who knows what can happen. Maybe let's see, UPS has earnings. If UPS's earnings are bad, FedEx could definitely feel the pain of that. So because UPS has been running off from FedEx as sympathy. So I would definitely be watching that from. Yeah, I see. No, yeah, they had decent earnings back there too. But I mean, basically this was off FedEx. Okay, then we have Roku. Roku is just stuck in this little range right here, right in the 220. I mean, you look 220, 224. It's just bouncing. It came out. It got back into it. It's just been going sideways into it. Head and shoulders left, head right, big right shoulder. I think if it loses 220 and actually closes hourly, and you could see it push down to this level right here, the 217, then go for a gap fill into the 212, 213 area. So I would definitely be watching Roku for a short. Next I have Shack. Shack has ER after hours on the 29th, which I believe is Thursday. Yeah. And this is also the last trading week for October too. So thought I'd put that out there. Now, I'm looking at Shack on a short side because I don't know. I just don't think they're going to do well on earnings. But, I mean, we'll have to see what the numbers are when it comes out. But when it gets to the 75 area, it just rejected. I mean, right here, it rejected, and it rejected a little bit there. And I mean, it could break out. Don't get me wrong. It could break out. It could have strong earnings. But I think it won't. So I think it will pull back down to the might even get down to the 65. So I would definitely watch Shack underneath 74 for a gap fill to the 72 area, then 70s for support. So I would definitely be watching that one. Yum is one. I mean, it's just like, it's a food product like Shack. So, and the weekly is what caught my eye. I mean, it touches this RCT trend line, rejects. Now, I don't know if I don't think Yum has earnings this week, so I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look, but that is one I'd be watching too. Baba is another one. I mean, it's consolidating up here, and the MACD is starting to curl. I mean, it started to curl down, but Friday it's got it to bounce off a little bit. But you get a bearish divergence on the histogram. This is making higher highs, this is making lower highs right there. So I think that if it can get below the 305 6 area that you can see gap fill into the 300. 300 would probably be pretty hard for it to crack, but definitely 300 would be the area I'd be watching for it to bounce. Cat is another one. I know Cat. It's been very tough on me, and I just don't do usually too well on it. But it's in this little inside candles for the last week, and it has ER on. I saw it, not unless I'm seeing things. Where is Caterpillar? I'm looking on the thing. I don't see it. Oh yeah, Caterpillar's before open on Tuesday. It's right in front of my face. I couldn't even see it. So I would imagine Caterpillar is probably going to tank on its earnings. But we'll see. I mean, look at it here. When it gets into this 170 area and just rejects. So, and it's got a big disconnection from this RC3 trend line. Look right here. It gets disconnected, comes back and retests it. Same here. And give me right down. He even works both sides too. It gets so far oversold, it comes back up and tests it. So I think it's going to come down. So I would definitely watch that for a drop on CAT. That's going to do it for the watch list. It's pretty small because of, like I said, a lot of the stocks we play have earnings. I'll be playing reactions to them, so it's kind of hard to say, okay, you know, this is going to happen, what's this going to happen by earnings. You just have to play the reaction to the earnings. We don't know what's going to happen to earnings until it happens. That's why you need to be in the room so that we can make last-minute decisions. If earnings drops and it's bad and guidance is bad, we can set our thesis and game plan up right at the last minute and see what happens in real time instead of trying to predict a week out what earnings is going to be, because playing earnings is just so dangerous and unpredictable. And even if earnings is real bad and guidance is good, it can pop, or guidance is bad, it can still pop. I mean, you can have bad guidance and bad ER and it will still pop. I mean, it's very complicated, and it's not worth the risk, and it's not worth the losing sleep over. So it's better just to wait and let it happen and play the reaction to it the next day. So that's what we're going to do. So I hope to see you in the room, and thank you for watching.